Good evening. Ooh, this hurt. It is late at nighttime. It is late hours with Nana. And this video, I was pulled to do it. This is going to be about maintaining. Maintaining, okay? Excuse me, let me actually move this chair forward. So yeah, this is the art of maintaining. All right? Especially if you just claim something in your life, or you have something coming and you're in that period where it's like you don't evidently see it yet, you got to maintain right here. This is where you maintain. This is the most important part, okay? And I understand there might be things right now knocking at your door. It's not to be ignored. We don't live in fantasy land. We live in reality over here. And I understand. I understand the situations, the circumstance, the heartache, whatever it is, whatever you may be going through, right? I understand. But you still got to maintain. You still got to maintain yourself. And what I mean by maintaining yourself, you still got to maintain the faith. You have to maintain the faith. Okay? Before I get into this verse, because I have a verse that I want to share. I just want to shine a little bit more light with that because I don't think enough people talk about this part enough. The in between part, the uncomfortable. Everyone talks about the results, but I want to shed light to the middle part because the middle part is so important and I understand it's so uncomfortable. That brings me to today. Today, it was either today or yesterday. I don't know. I took a nap. So stay with me. I saw a dragonfly. Okay, I saw a dragonfly outside. And just to give you a little bit of history on the dragonfly, they're super interesting. They start in water, okay, as little larvas. And somehow they transform and they become like this little predator in the water. They're catching tripods or tripods. I don't know how you guys call them, like them little baby frog thing. They're catching tiny little fishes or whatever. They scooping things up. They fast. Then they go over a couple transformation. Okay, they become so good in the water though, like being a predator in the water. But at one point something happens. They can't breathe really well in the water at one point, and their mouth starts to like close on them. Okay, so they're forced to leave the water. Somehow they were breathing. They was breathing before that, but then something happens in their body. Like I said, they always transforming. That now they cannot live in the water. Okay, so they start crawling out the water, and it's so uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable for them. Start crawling out the water, and they start to harden. They get really, really hard, and they might get on a stamp or something. And this is the crazy part is that they don't like butterflies and stuff like that. They have a chance to go find somewhere safe and to make a cocoon. They don't get that option. They just crawl out the water because they have to, breathe. And wherever they landed, hopefully nothing happens to them. This is like the most vulnerable state. A bird can get them or whatever the case is, right? And just to relate this, while we're going through this transformation, whatever case is, it feels like you're in a very vulnerable state. But back to the story. So yeah, it hardens, right? It becomes so hard that it starts to go through like a metamorphosis. Like liquid starts to happen in that, like it's like a cocoon thing, but it's not. They have a weird thing. They don't do the whole butterfly thing where they have like a whole cocoon and they're there for like I don't know how long. They start to change right away. They're quick with it. So as soon as they get hard, they start having to like crack out of there, and they're cracking out of there, right? And it's the most uncomfortable thing ever. They're squeezing themselves out this like weird cocoon looking thing, and they wait until they dry out, and then they open up, and it's this adult dragonfly. He has made it through all the stages, all the different stages, and some of them. The interesting part is that some of them stay as a bug stage for years. So who knows if they get to live the dragonfly, right? But they maintain. They maintain through the whole process. They every single time they were transforming, they were changing right with it. Whatever the circumstance was, right? So that brings me, I'm gonna go into the verse I wanted to share. Is I cannot ever pronounce it right. Deuteronomy. There we go. 8, right? It says, "Beware lest you say in your heart, my power and my hands have got me this wealth. You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is who he gives you power." Right? It says, let me go before that. Basically, it's talking about how Lord humbles you, right? You go through this humbling state. Because, like, the transformation, think about the dragonfly. That, like I said, he goes through a very vulnerable state. You know, the same way. You go through this humbling, vulnerable state, right? As you're trying to transform to that new thing. And then it says, beware that you say that you got this power on your own once you have it. Once you have, because it goes on to say, if you read this, go ahead and read this. It's good. But it goes on to say, like, how, at one point, God will give you everything. God is going to give you everything, right? You're going to eat, you're going to get food, whatever. He doesn't want you to forget. That's the problem. He doesn't want you to forget. So that's why he kind of does this, like, humbling thing. He humbles you, right? He humbles you. You go through the pain of not having it, whatever cases. You actually sit there and claim and have faith, and, like, you going through this process, right? And it's like this process of building trust and everything, you know. And at first, like I said, it's uncomfortable, but you have to trust the process. So once you have it, you remember, okay, this was a matter of faith. This took me and God to do this. This wasn't like, like, oh, I was just talking to the right people and talking to the, whatever, and putting my money in like a gamble, whatever. No, this was an actual faith driven thing. And I cannot forget this. It says, "You shall remember the Lord your God, for he is who gives you power." Okay? And just going through the whole thing, it even goes on to say, like I said, you guys got to read it. But it's just like, let me actually read it from here because I have it open. It says, "Know that man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord." The mouth of the Lord, okay? The mouth of the Lord. So, you gotta maintain. You have to maintain through it all. Continue to have that faith. Like I said, I can understand it's uncomfortable, whatever case is, but that's why you gotta do certain practices to get yourself to maintain, to let yourself be. At the same time, let it go. Don't overstress yourself. You have it already. You have it already. It's already done. Okay? But yeah, I'm going to keep this video kind of short. It's not, I usually make these long videos, but it's late. And, I just wanted to hop on here just to let that message. All right? So, alrighty, YouTube, wherever I post this at, I hope you guys can continue to maintain, keep going through the fire. There's rainbows on the other side, but you have to maintain. It's nothing around it. You cannot do things halfway. You cannot do it halfway. The thing is, that's why I say let it go. Because if you're so focused on, like, oh, I need to see it. I need to see it. It's going to be here. It's going to be here. I need to see it. It's coming. Whatever. You know, you're going to stress yourself out more, whatever case is, and then more things will start piling up. Instead, you know, just one thing at a time. You know, if something is due or whatever the case is, or if it's taking up too much of your mind, write it down, you know, and then fold it. Just keep it. Like, now you got it already out your head, but you got to put good things in your brain. Like, it's already done. It's already paid for. It's whatever. Okay. You got to maintain. But all right. Good night, y'all.